Austral Resources Australia, listed on the Australian Stock Exchange's AR1, is a copper producer, and I'll enlarge on that in a moment. And joining me today is the Managing Director, Dan Jauncey. Hello, Dan.
G'day, Tim. Thanks very much for having me today.
Very much my pleasure. Now, you've had some recent results to the market, and I've got to say it's colossal. Any company that comes back with a 7% copper intersection over a 7% copper rock chip sample, and if you're in the geological world, you'll understand what I'm talking about. This company is getting intersections of 7%, which is close to jewellery. Dan, what do you think about that?
Yeah, Tim, it's got our exploration team and management team very excited. You know, what's really got us very pumped is that's in a step-out hole as well. Now, that, just to be clear, that 7% wasn't a very big intercept, but it's certainly part of a broader community in it. And I think in that area itself, we had 18 metres at 4.2%. And again, just to touch on that, that's on a step-out hole. We're still open in both directions as well. But very, very exciting. And
this is the Lady Colleen in Mount Isa is the general area the exact area where you're working. But you've got Mount Kelly where your processing plant is, and Lady Colleen is at Mount Kelly, as I understand. And you've got Ant Hill, which is currently producing copper too. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's absolutely right, Tim. So Lady Colleen's within 2 kilometres of our Mount Kelly processing facility. Again, the thing that has the guys pretty excited about that, there's an oxide cap sitting on top of it. So, you know, we're currently modelling it out to see if we can, in fact, do an open pit mining campaign on this. You mentioned Ant Hill. We put a market update out about 10 days ago, and Ant Hill's ticking along really well. TEAS have done an exceptional job with their mining campaign starting in January. They're currently 12% ahead of schedule. Our haulage guys are doing a marvellous job as well. We can't thank them enough, along with our drill and blast crew, who are also ahead of schedule. Now, I also put in that market update that the one delay we've had is our crushing circuit. As you get with any startup operation, unfortunately, our crushing and agglomeration circuit was one link in the chain, and it was a startup, and we put $2 million worth of refurbishment through that as part of our initial raise. But again, something that sat there for quite a while, which was the only component that did, is always a challenge to pull out of having sat for so long. Now, our model's based on 5,000 tonne of crushing a day. We were behind that, and both our ROMs are at absolute capacity. So the team now, we're hitting 8,000 tonne per day. Yeah, well, that was yesterday's numbers, and we're certainly shooting between 7,000 to 8,000 tonne per day with our crushing. So we're catching, I guess what that actually means, Tim, from a revenue stream, albeit we have been marginally delayed. It is a delay, not lost revenue. And I'm still standing by the fact that we'll do 10,000 tonne of LME grade copper cathode financial year 2023. So what that means is Q3 and 4 is going to be a very strong result for us.
Now, you just mentioned copper cathode, and this is something that I alluded to when we started the conversation, was that most people would expect a mining company or a resources company in Australia saying they're a copper producer to just produce an aggregate or an ore. But this is where Austral Resources is very different, because you're completely vertical. You have a fully operational electrowinning plant, and you're converting the copper that you discovered, mined, processed, and now you're taking that to a copper cathode product.
Correct. So we produce a 99.9% pure plate of LME grade copper cathode. Actually, behind us, our logo is made out of Austral Resources copper. And I guess that's probably what leads us into where we are with, Ant Hill having a 4-year mine life, 40,000 tonne of copper cathode to be produced over the next 4 years. Our focus is very much on further exploration. I don't think I mentioned it earlier. The other area that has my exploration team very excited is is what we're referring to as Antil 2.0. So it's on an existing ML. I guess the structural corridors in relation to what they're seeing there is very, very similar to Antil, and it's not been explored before. Last week we had our cultural heritage Kalkadoon team out there walking the area. Once we've got final I's dotted and T's crossed, we're in the process of firing up a campaign, a drilling campaign there that we're hoping to start in the coming weeks there. And I guess what that will allude to is, again, you mentioned vertically integrated there. It gives us the ability to extend our oxide side of it in a mine life sense. And again, it's within stone throw of the existing Antil product campaign.
Mm-hmm.
And then you dovetail that in with what you're finding, as you touched on with Lady Colleen. The large sulfide opportunities we've got there. There's our blue sky, and certainly potential for a very long mine life extension moving forward.
Your resource, I think we've got to underline this one. You have around 60 million tonnes running at 0.7%, which is a colossal feedstock for that plant.
Certainly, and what we're focusing on at the moment, Tim, is right in close to our processing facility. We intend to really target the Antil 2.0, target Lady Colleen, and once we've kind of got through that, we intend further drilling to turn our resource into a measured resource. Now, interestingly enough, that we do have a very large body of sulfide sitting there, but certainly the cutoff that we've been using, we intend to continue our drilling, and with some of the stuff that we've got coming, we're now in a very good position with news flow. I'm very happy to say that there'll be more news flow in the coming weeks that I think will help support what we're touching on here within relation to a very high grade opportunity within our grasp.
Now, I know you've just finished 2,500 metres or just under 2,500 metres of drilling. Do you have out of the ground? Have you looked at it? Do we have results?
Yeah, we have, Tim, and it's pretty exciting. So I'll leave it at that. Where we're at with the team at the moment, they put the XRF gun over it. They're currently getting the cores cut up. We'll get them to the lab as quickly as possible, and I'd like to think in the coming weeks that information will start filtering through. Now, furthermore, that as you mentioned, there's been 2,500 metres of drilling on Colleen already, and what we put out Monday was the first of those results starting to flow through. So, I think that you'll see, every week to 2 weeks, hopefully, if everything keeps tracking the way we think it should, there'll be a good news flow moving forward, for the near future.
I think people will be lining up with jewellery boxes to take home those rock chip samples. Dan Jauncey, who's the Managing Director of Austral Resources Australia, listed on the ASX as AR1. Crazy if you don't go and look them up now. And Dan, thanks very much for joining us.
Tim, thanks for having me.